So today we have with us Professor Samdhong Rinpoche. The other day when we had a teaching, I think it took about 5 minutes to describe all your achievements, so I will make it more short since we have 30 minutes today. So Samdhong Rinpoche was the first elected Tibetan Prime Minister, democratically elected. He's a close friend, associate of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He was a friend of Krishnamurti, the head of the Tibetan Higher Institute for Higher Studies, and many other things. But I know Professor Rinpoche doesn't like all these accolades, so we start with our talk. Rinpoche, we met first time in 2003 in the Asian Social Forum. The theme was Another World is Possible. There seemed to be a lot of positivity in the air there that we can change the world, we can change socially and environmentally what's happening. 15 years later, I feel a little bit, as I walk around the world, and you know I travel all the time, people feel a little bit that hope is diminishing a little bit. Even the World Social Forum itself is not so active anymore. So, yes, I want to, what do you feel, from your perspective?
To change the world is not an easy job, because there are very few agencies who are qualified and capable of bringing a positive change in the world. The Buddha or many other teachers, including recent time J. Krishnamurti and of course Mahatma Gandhi, they always says the change shall have to begin from oneself. Unless you change, you cannot change any other. So the people who have intention or trying to change the world, they always look out to the world and how to change it without begin changing from oneself. There are many aspects, and if I make it just short, in a nutshell, that is, we are not able to differentiate the action and the actor. All the negative actions are done by some people, and we oppose them, those negative actions, without having love and compassion to those actors. And we hate the action, and also we hate the actor at the same time. So unless we have love and compassion to the negative doer, we cannot change that actor. Without changing that actor, you cannot change the action. So therefore, all the actors shall have to be qualified to have love and compassion to all the negative doers. And in order to save them from the negative work, we have to oppose their action. That was very clearly stated by Mahatma Gandhi in his principle of Satyagraha. And in the Satyagraha, he never opposed or he never feel hatred or unpleasantness to the actor. He always has immense love and compassion for them, but he strongly oppose and raise voice against their own action, and therefore his movements are very effective and can bring change around. So today there are number of social activists and who want to a better world, but they always blame the other, and with that blame the other actor is not considered as a object of compassion and love. They always condemn them, and with that action the actor is also condemned. So thereby we all become in the same platform. If violence is there and we try to reduce it by counter-violence, it is impossible. A fire can never be extinguished by putting more fire. There need to be a different substance, different nature of substance. If there is a fire, you should put water or some gas which is against nature of the fire. If you put more fuel or more fire on the fire, it will increase, it will never decrease. So today we are finding solution of any problem in the similar basis of the problem, trying to reduce terrorism by counter-terrorism or by state terrorism, and we are trying to reduce violence and exploitation by counter-violence or counter-exploitation. So therefore all our efforts goes in vain, and it will not give any result. There might be apparently some stoppage for an immediate time, but the cause or the seed of that problem is more become powerful, and it will remain there, and then as long as the opponent gets a chance, it will repeat again. So therefore we have to understand all the problems shall have to find the solution in its opposite side, and we shall have to change the heart of the actors. Whatever injustice and wrong act is to be removed, we have to change their heart. In order to change their heart, we must have a sincere and reliable love and compassion to those actors. Only then we can have the encounter. So therefore at this moment the humanity is the human greed, hate, and a sense of selfishness is being exploited by the modern civilization, and apparently the humanity will not realize the problem unless and until there is a huge catastrophe or huge destruction. But since human nature is changeable, since human nature can be transformed, we should not lose our hope. Whether we can change the world or we cannot change the world, there's only two possible. And then what our responsibility, what our duty is, continues to make effort, continues to try to change. And if we can do that, it's okay. If we are not able to do that, yet we are carry our own universal responsibility. So therefore the history will not blame us.
I'm looking at some actually practical suggestions, because I'm an activist. I'm surrounded by many activists. Recently I wrote an article in my blog called "The Racist Heart is Made of Clay Like Yours and Mine," suggesting that we need dialogue with racist people, that we need to understand even where they're coming from, where their pain is coming from. And I got a lot of hate mail for this article. And I look at His Holiness. He, with all what happened to the Tibetan people, with all what's happening in the world, he's still so joyful.
Yes.
I look at you. You're always equanimous. I can't say the same about activists I'm surrounded, even about myself. You know, I sometimes wake up in the morning, look at some piece of very negative news. You know, some fake news or some real news, or something I know it's a lie, or something that happened to some people somewhere, and I feel some rage inside.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some practical suggestions how to transform that rage into more positive action rather than...
The practical suggestions are not very practical to everyone unless one has some kind of preliminary training of mind or development of mind. So whatever suggestions may be, it might be very practical, but it may not be appear to them very practical. The practical suggestion is that what is the cause of problem? The cause of problem is negative emotions, negative mindset, heat or envy or greed. So these are all the cause of all our problem today. And we have to address them to reduce heat, greed, envy or competition. In order to reduce this negative mindset, we have to touch to the mind, not to the individual, the person. We must try to change. For that, we ourselves, the actor, the activist themselves, in Gandhi's language I may call the Satyagrahi, must be qualified. The first qualification is without any hate or anger to that wrongdoer, the person who is doing the injustice or the violence. We must see that he or she is doing such wrong act because of under the influence of ignorance and negative emotions. He or she is not acting freely. They are being their mind is deeply conditioned by the negativity, and therefore the negative emotions are so strong. And to address that negative emotion, taking revenge is the just opposite thing. If someone has killed someone, and this is an absolutely unacceptable act, and to express that act as bad or unacceptable, if we kill that person, the killer, so that means we are also come down ourselves the sin level of the wrongdoer. So at the sin level, both of them are sinner, then it cannot change anybody. So one is a sinner, the other is not sinner, other is pure. The pure person can bring some positive change in the sinner. So therefore, to keep oneself in purity is necessary, and also to have a affectionate mind, compassion to that doer, because he or she is acting such wrong act because of ignorance, because of the influence of the negative emotion. When someone is enraged or someone is in anger, almost he or she does not know what the person is doing. It's just almost involuntarily they come out. So therefore, the helplessness of that person and how he or she is under the influence or under the conditioning of the negative mind. So we have to address to that. Without addressing the cause of problem, the symptom treatment can never be reduce the disease or can never reduce the problem. So this is a very simple fact.
And that's why nothing is moving forward.
Yeah.
Like
There's
we
yes, there's
are
yes,
trying to stop wars with wars.
yeah, yeah.
You know, bombs with bombs.
Yes, one bombs, and then there are strange kind of argument. If someone has a nuclear weapon, it can bring some stoppage or detain the others to use it. So these are the useless.
Yeah, I saw some good caricature yesterday. Good bombs, bad bombs, flying towards each other. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. That is just
I have a question. This is very personal. That I'm finding it difficult to come to an understanding. I mean, my first introduction to spirituality was J. Krishnamurti.
mm,
Like I told you, I think before, the first book I read on the subject of the mind was The First and Last Freedom.
yeah.
And then I became interested in quantum physics,
Mhm.
and only actually recently more in Buddhism.
Mm.
Although our association has been so long, only
Mm.
recently more in Buddhism. And I see in all of these things, in Krishnamurti's writing, in quantum physics, in Buddhism, it's like the world is our mirror.
Mm, mm,
And I am finding it hard to see where the I ends and the world starts.
Mm,
You
mm.
know, where is the border there?
Mm,
Is there a border?
mm, mm.
Is it really my mirror when I see something horrible happening, you know, whatever it is, environmentally or socially?
Mm.
Am I seeing something inside
Mm,
myself?
mm, mm.
This is, if you can elaborate a little bit on this, because I know a lot of people these days, especially going into quantum physics,
Mm.
and this is a very complex understanding.
Mm.
It's like, what is this? Is everything us?
Mm. This is a very deep and complex subject. We cannot talk in a few minutes duration.
Just a short taste.
Yeah. What the Krishnamurti is talking about, you are the world. Or he also sometimes says inner and outer.
Mm.
The peace shall have to come from inside. You cannot search it in the outside. And the quantum physics theory of the appearance are come out of the mind.
Yeah, everything
And
is connected.
yes, everything is in the brain. And when there's no perception, then the things do not exist. And in the Buddhism, the four different schools of thought, the two Vivashic and Sautrantic, they say there is a existence, inherent existence outside. There is also a inherent existence, the mind. Mind and matter both exist inherently by its own nature. So their position is very much different from the quantum physicist position or Kiddush. Now the Vijnanavad, Chitmatrata and the Madhyamika, the Vijnanavad says no Bahi earth, that means out matter. Matter does not exist, only mind exists. Mind is reality and matter is appearance. So the cause of mind creates the matter. The cause of this subject creates the object. Then subject is disappear, the objects also disappear. Even in the present time, the object is appearing there, but it is not an outside entity. It is the nature of the mind. It's quite near to the quantum physics. And the Madhyamic people says, no, there are different causes, but all the outer entity are just designated by the mind. Mind itself is also designated by itself. So therefore, nothing exists inherently or independently. They are just appeared and designated on interdependent arise in nature. Interdependent means it is in relation to something, it exists. Otherwise, there is no existence. So this is also not exactly what the quantum physicists are talking these days. So it is little higher than the Vijnanavad and the quantum physics are very similar, very equal level. But there are some differences. The quantum physics people talk about the mind, but they do not know the detailed science of mind. They only expert in the science of matter. They are searching the matter and they are not able to find coherent, inherent existence of the matter. Then they say the only subject is appearing for the object. So their position is also little different from the Vijnanavad. Whatever different positions may be, for a lay person in generality, we can say, as Buddha have said, mind is the chief, mind is the foregoer, and mind creates the things and mind decides the things. So this, without any very subtle different position of different schools, for a common sense we can say your mind has a greater control all over the things. So therefore, as long as you have a illusion of ego, a inherent existence of I, then I is the seer or I is the doer, which differentiate it, cut from the object to be seen or to be done. So then that duality creates lot of thought process and illusions. So when you see the subject is exist in relation to the object, and the object is exist in relation to the subject, and these are exist interrelatedly, and if you remove one, the other cannot be exist independently. So this is generally acceptable to all the different schools. So that is in a common sense we can see. So we have a kind of concept of beauty and a concept of ugly, or concept of big and concept of small. The concept of big is in relation to something smaller than that. If that is removed, then the concept of big can never exist. And even the concept of me, I, or the person, it is very gross illusion. Somebody calls you, you just react, yes, he is calling me. There is me which is inherently exist. But that mean, if you search, is your head, is your hand, is your body, is your mind, or is your consciousness? By that searching, you will always say my. The me is something goes further. My mind, my consciousness, my body, my head, and my hand. I am speaking, I am thinking. When you are thinking, the thinker is, you always push a separate.
Yes, Krishnamurti also used to say, who is speaking?
Yes, who is speaking? Yeah. As long as you separate the speaker from the speech, then there is a duality and there is a ego. So therefore you will not be able to see. So that's why he always asks, can you listen? Can you see? That means, can you listen without the listener? Doing away with the listener, can you listen? Or doing away with the seer, apart from the seeing, can you see? So this is Always he used to ask the people. So this is the matter of fact. If some analytical people can analyze, you will see the fact. So if you see the fact, then all the things are just constructed roughly in relation to with each other. And when you search it, you will not find it. If there is inherent independent existence, you must be able to find it when you search. If you are not able to find it, that means it does not exist. But the appearance on the composition of body, mind, speech, and our mind designates a person. And the person exists only that much. So if you further search the person, you will not be able to find. So that constructed thing, if you are able to understand, then the grasping on no existent independent I will disappear. And that will disappear, such existence of the other is also disappear. Then the equality, equanimity, all these things have become more clearly.
And I think it also relates to every tribal understanding that everything is interdependent, everything in existence. There's nothing independent in this existence.
Right.
Back a little bit to activism. Many years ago I went and participated in a fast with Sundar Bagu, very famous.
Yes.
And I asked him a question. I said, Sundar Lalji, we are fasting here, but the Terry Dam is being built.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are honest with each other, it will continue to be built.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, yes, but I'm not doing it for this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it so future generations
mm-hmm.
will know that people did stand up,
mm-hmm.
that there was resistance,
mm-hmm.
and people were aware.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I was more young and fiery, and I couldn't really see the total value of it.
Mm-hmm.
What is the value of activism for future?
That I mentioned in your previous question, that the history will not blame us. They did know it, but they did not oppose it. And if they oppose it, they could have stopped. Even they could not have stopped. The message, it is wrong, that can be sent. But at that time, people knowingly just ignored. This is a blame the new generation will put on us.
Okay.
So that is also importance. Such dam, for example, the Terry Dam and the Bakranagar Dam, these are very powerful destructive weapons, invisible bombs. If some enemy put up explosive to the dams, or by naturally the constructions have become weak year by year, after some time it's bound to be decay. And such dam, if they are leaked out or burst out, almost entire 3-4 stages, Punjab, Himachal, Delhi, and huge part of India would be submerged under the water, and hundreds of thousands of people.
Probably millions.
Yes. So in such time, then people will realize. Then people also will appreciate. Yes, at that time, people did oppose, but the decision makers have no wisdom. And they will not say at that time, nobody know about this. So we are sincere to our responsibility to express what is wrong as wrong. Otherwise, we also become a party to that. We are saying this, and we know that, for example, a nuclear weapon, people are building up, and we know it is very negative thing. And if we do not say anything, we just keep silent, that means we have no opposition. We could stop them, or we could not stop them. We could win over them, or we could not win over them. It is very necessary to dissociate ourselves to that negative action. Otherwise, we also become a party to that negative thing, and we are also responsible for such negative thing. So, for one's own clarity of conscience and one's own performance of the universal responsibility, and one's message can be given to the new generation. You should not repeat this kind of mistake, and also to remove the historical blame which might to come our generation. So therefore, each wrongdoing things, we need to oppose them.
You mention now in your word universal responsibility, and that's a new mantra that I hear His Holiness talking a lot. What do you feel is the most important issue of our times? And I'm talking from an objective point of view, like let's say subjectively, let's say for Tibetan Buddhists, maybe the most important issue is Tibet, and maybe in the area that I live in Australia, the most important issue is to stop some mining company. But objectively, if we look universally, what is the most important issue of our time?
Most important issue of our time is to build up a mindset among the humanity which can reduce the human greed and the human hatredness. Hate and greed is the root cause of entirety of the problems of this world. It may be between the individuals, problem between individuals, problem between families, problem between towns and villages, or nations, or continents, right from the smallest dissatisfaction or difficulty of a small child to the difficulties of the nations, the most powerful nations. All of these come out of human greed and human hate. So to reduce the human greed and human hate, we shall have to purify our mind. And for that purification, we need certain degree of morality and ethics. And the religious traditions now almost failed to create such morality or ethics among the humanity. And now the secular education is almost pervasive. It's not yet universal, but it is most pervasive. Almost every nation now, the people are reaching to some kind of basic education. And those basic education must be able to address the human mind to reduce negative emotions and to promote or cultivate positive emotions, so that human greed can be controlled or reduced or eliminated. Even not that possible, human greed is not enlarged or exploited by the external conditions, and the human hate shall have to be reduced. So for that, for both of that, we need certain kind of mind training or mind purification to have no greed, a sense of satisfaction, understanding of one's need, and a sense of love and compassion to others without any envy or without any heat. So thereby competition can be removed, and by removing the competition we could establish cooperation and equality among the people by understanding the equality of the people. So these are the, I think, most need if we really have an intention to improve the world or to bring peace and stability world. You have to reduce the greed. Without reducing greed, all other kinds of anything cannot be reduced or cannot be controlled. For example, war. War in the ancient time used to fight for territory, for power, for political reasons. But today the war is to make a sustainable market for the weapon industries.
Absolutely, I write about it a lot. Yeah.
So unless and until the greed of weapon industry owners are being addressed, and otherwise you cannot think about free from war and terrorism, because they always, each day firing in the schools in the America, and innocent people are killed there. But the gun producer has such a strong lobby, so no administration, no Congress or Senate are able to make any law or any regulation to control these guns and weapons. So therefore, without reducing the human greed, no problem can be.
Would you say the source of greed in our personal lives, or greed and hatred, comes from fear?
Not necessarily. Fear can also, fear or sense of insecurity can, but the basic problem of exploitation of greed is started in the last 200 years. The science and technology grow and the machine age come. The humanity has acquired the capacity to produce consumer commodities much more than what the humanities need. And when you produce the things more than the need, then that shall have to be consumed in the market. And to create a market, you have to exploit the human greed. Unless human greed is exploited, there will not be consumer people. In the ancient time, they are all users, not consumers. And users means you use the things properly. If you purchase a good pair of shoe, that will last for 2-3 years. And today, if you purchase shoe, within 1 month, the fashion is changed, and so you have to consume. Yeah. So therefore, the producers did a very in-depth research how to increase the consumers to make a market. They found the human greed can be exploited very easily. For that, they have found a very good method: comparison and competition. So by the habit of conditioning of comparison and competition in the human mind through advertisements and through brainwashing and through all kind of things, now people completely forgot what is my need. And they always look the others. The other have a new shoe, I must have. The other has a new car, why I should not? The other has a new digit, why I should not? If my own is perfectly in good condition of working, but my neighbor has something different, then I also have to purchase it. And for that you have to earn more money by right way or by wrong way, and therefore you have to put lot of effort. You ruin your health. You also have a lot of tension and anxiety and depression and all kind of things. So by this way the entire life is spent in a comparison and a competition. So human greed is being exploited by the method of comparison and competition through advertisements or through brainwashing and through indoctrination. So these are very clear. Unless and until we change the basic mindset of the humanity right from the young age, and to understand what is my need. And if people do with the need, then greed will not be much in function. To eliminate greed is difficult, but to reduce or to put under control the greed is possible if you are able to understand the need. Understanding need means you understand the need of every living creature. So then there will be no poverty, there will be no people deprived of fulfilling their needs. As Gandhi has said, the planet Earth is capable of satisfying all living creatures on it for their needs, but it cannot satisfy a single person's greed. So this is a very statement of fact, a reality.
We'll have to bring a bit of Gandhism into the education system.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Very rarely that I speak with somebody who I agree with everything they say.
They may not agree or they may agree.
No, I say I
Yeah.
agree with everything you say. So
Yeah. No, many people may not agree, but they should have a solid argument or reason for their disagreement, and why we should consume all these things unnecessarily, and which harms the nature, which harms the environment, which harms the other people, and which harms to everyone, and through which all kind of violence are being created. And yet, when you die, you cannot carry anything with you. But in spite of that, till the time of dying, you are accumulating, you are accumulating, you are accumulating, you are wanting more and more. So this is the dichotomy for the humanity.
Yeah, this is the difficult age we live in.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. I have one more question.
Okay.
Because I feel our audience will not be satisfied if we don't speak something about it. And I know you are not Kalon Tripa anymore, you're not the Prime Minister anymore, but still, can you say something about the situation in Tibet and where do you see any movement, any positive movement, any, are we
I do not have any up-to-date information about inside Tibet or outside Tibet movement, because since my retirement from active job, I do not accumulate any information only the casual information comes to me that I hear. Otherwise, I do not update myself. Generally, I feel that there's no positive change inside Tibet as far as the human rights violations are concerned, as far as repressive conditions and controls are concerned, as far as the exploitation and discrimination are concerned. So this is, I can infer the people who are still self-emulating until the recent times, and now it is more than 152 or 153. So by this way, there's no improvement inside. And also, there's no sign of improvement at the central level or at the Chinese government policies. So we are not seeing any positive message or positive sign. In spite of that, I'm not losing my hope because of 3 reasons. The first reason is the things which are happening in China as whole and in Tibet as particular are against the human nature. So it cannot sustain forever. And the second, the Tibet cause is based on truth. We are not asking anything by selfish or by greed. What we are asking is a freedom in which the Tibetan people can perform their universal responsibility in a positive way. So this is a valid demand and which cannot be denied by anybody. And the third thing is the people of Tibet, particularly people of Tibet inside, they are not derailed themselves from the non-violence path. In spite of all the unbearable conditions and provocations, they are not indulged into any kind of violence. And self-evolution is the only way to express their anguish or their disagreement or their dissatisfaction. And if someone is just sacrificing one's own life, he or she can harm others as well. But not a single person has caused any harm to any other people. That is our highest strength or the quality of our movement. So keeping these 3 facts, the Tibet will get what it is meant for them and what they are inspiring for. These are firstly a right one. Secondly, they are doing it consistently through non-violence way. So therefore, sooner or later, the Tibet issue will be resolved.
Is there anything we can do as a global community?
Of course, you can speak, you can educate the people, and at least everyone can do here now is send a good wishes and prayer. The human willpower is immeasurable. So you can think about the suffering of Tibetan people when you get up in the morning or you go to sleep and you talk to others, just to create goodwill for the Tibetan people. And then, of course, whatever social or political support or creating a kind of Awareness. Yeah, awareness. So that is very important. Thank you.
Thank you.